This is a copyrighted edition of our video channel with Godwin as owner of this channel. Please like, comment or share this video, in case its content is kept under a lid again. History professor Howard Zinn once said, if you don't know history, anybody in position of power can tell you anything and you have no way of checking up on it. This might help to explain why MIT professor Noam Chomsky used to tell people to do fact-checking, otherwise people can only believe what others said that sounded convincing as truth. The problem is truth doesn't necessarily sound convincing. For example, Hollywood celebrities often adopt kids from Asia. When they grow up, they can spend 10 hours explaining but still won't convince you to believe their adoptive parent is Hollywood icon. So fact-checking can be a much faster or easier way for people to learn history of loneliness solution or why most people still have no access to it but left with something less effective by comparison. The history of this tested solution and how it was linked to works of 5 professors, with 3 of the 5 as psychologists was mentioned in past video. So this video will focus on why most people must use something far less effective by comparison. To understand this, it would be helpful for people to learn according to news. Wang Zhongqiu is director of a research institute in China who said if the standard of Toyota is applied to cars made in China, none of them would pass quality control. Wang said to ensure people in China will buy these poorly made cars produced in China, instead of Japanese cars sold in China. High taxes are placed making Japanese cars to be too expensive for people in China to buy. But the problem is, when everyone is buying these poorly made cars, local carmakers see no need for making improvement. This can help viewers to understand why students could still be using older solution to loneliness that can't help most of them to get out of loneliness, through an investigation by Dr. Jordan Peterson's student Godwin, whom Dr. Peterson believes as finding a real explanation to loneliness epidemic and solution to loneliness for most students too. In past video, we had already mentioned the facts that viewers needed to know, such as 2. Professors Drive John Verveek and Dr. Michel Ferrari supported Godwin to create a service at University of Toronto to help most students to get out of loneliness. For anyone who did fact-checking, they should know in 2011 Dr. Ferrari did offer to pay for half of the cost of this service to get created, so long as university was willing to pay for the other half. This means students would be paying nothing. However, when VP of Student Life Lucy Fromowitz said university did not have the money to hire Godwin, Godwin asked her a question to check whether that is the truth or whether it was only she didn't want him to get hired, by asking if the university could charge each student an extra $1 in tuition fee, then it would still be enough for this service to be created. Her answer was no. Since when a university decision maker could decide for students that they don't need to get out of loneliness when its cost was $1? Could we say she made this decision at the expense of students? In 2017, Dr. Ferrari told Godwin that Godwin could get hired to create a program to help students to get out of loneliness, and Dr. Ferrari signed a contract to hire Godwin in 2018, while offering approval for Godwin to charge each student up to $200 per month. The reason Dr. Ferrari agreed Godwin for charging students $200 each was because Godwin's parents refused to let Godwin to continue doing work but without getting paid, from 2001 to 2018. Dr. Ferrari said $200 may be more than students could afford. So students could be stuck with less effective solution, just like most people in China stuck with poorly made cars, according to Wang. Please note, neither Godwin nor Dr. Ferrari originally thought of making students pay so much money to learn this solution. Since if the university agreed to let each student pay extra $1 in their tuition fee back in 2011, the cost of students learning this same solution would not have increased to $200 each in 2018. So now it would be possible for viewers to understand students were using older solution to loneliness, still, not because it could help most students to get out of loneliness, but because the university had made cost of other solutions skyrocketed. But when students must keep using an older solution, what would be need for improvement to older solution? In past video, we had also mentioned, what Godwin discovered was as long as university has complete control of what solution to loneliness students can have access to, and control to the flow of information, no student could learn through official university broadcast channel about the program Dr. Ferrari hired Godwin to create was ready to accept student enrollment. But isn't right to know is part of human rights, just like freedom of expression include right to receive information? Why parents and students must get involved? First, according to Wikipedia, education is transmission of knowledge, skills or character traits. But according to Kenneth Keniston, real explanation to loneliness as a social problem lies in the ability or know-how to connect relevant findings by the concept of a centerless web, all of whose threads are related to, are influenced by, and influence, all of the others, which he said was beyond what psychology, sociology or their combination could explain due to its complexity, since it requires, above all, a new tolerance of complexity. This can only mean anyone who knew how to write down this explanation to loneliness epidemic on paper knew something nobody else knows about. This might help to explain why in 2015, the Canada Research Chair Dr. Katrina Scott said Godwin is talented, when Godwin discovered his explanation to loneliness in North America is just like how Keniston described at Harvard University back in 1960s. This is like climbing over a challenge set by Keniston that stopped everyone else in last 70 years. Godwin could also name the kind of wisdom for this task. What Godwin did is important as it was proof that there is a way to connect a massive amount of info together, something what ChatGPT could also do today, except Godwin did it in 2012. So nobody could claim to have the same ability, as after the emergence of AI, humans can't tell difference between writing by human and by AI. This is a breakthrough in learning skills and what can help university education that is proven to have failed to help most students to get out of loneliness to become university education that can help most students to get out of loneliness. What people have to realize is loneliness for people who trapped in loneliness is like being trapped inside a maze, as no matter what they do, which direction they go, they ended up being inside the same spot. As long as they could understand this is true, then all they have to do is try think about a time when they were inside some sort of maze, perhaps looking like a garden, something most people could get right out of, like what is inside a theme park. And then they could understand to getting out of it, there is a process they have to go through. Except if you aren't inside a theme park but inside a rainforest, then there might be more than one process but many different processes that you have to go through before you can get out of the rainforest. However, if you went through the wrong process or processes, you stay inside rainforest or can't get out.